Hey guys, I've just picked up this little baby Kubota diesel tractor, 4-wheel drive with a little blade on the front there. It's not running though, it's got a few issues going on. The owner had parked it up a few years ago because the transmission started making horrible noises, and he went to start it the other day to sell it, and the engine locked up straight away basically, and then it burned out a terminal on his battery. So I'll have to strip it down and see what's going on with the engine, and then if I get the engine running I'll look into the gearbox noises. So it's going to be quite a bit of work, but I got it for quite cheap, so I'm not too worried. So if I get it going I'll take it out to the island where I've got the band sawmill, and I think it'll be ideal for dragging logs out with the rear lift, because the four-wheeler out there is just a little bit light for it. It's got a rotary hoe as well. I have been looking for one of these for a few years because we're going to get a vegetable garden going. As I winched it on here, I managed to strap up the front blade, but I just had to drag the rear end along the ground because the hydraulics obviously aren't working. So I might just have to lift that off with the front end loader, and then I can roll it off. Right, we'll get some air on these tyres, they're basically flat. They had about 2 psi in it. It was very low. That's why the tyres are all cracked, because they were too low. Oh. It's a tiny little engine. So first of all I'll just see if the engine turns by hand. I'm not going to try and use the battery to start it because it could be just the starter motor that's locked up. So we'll see if that turns first of all. 30 mil. Let's see if we can get on with that. No, that's not turning at all. Try the other way because it might let go if we reverse it. No. Alright, that's not moving at all, so I'll have to poke and prod a bit deeper. Yep, that'll be the problem. Lovely. Oh god. Well, I think we've found the problem. So it's obviously had rainwater in there, and it's filled up the muffler. Okay. Yeah, that's water. There's not much in there now. Most of it was sitting in the exhaust. So I'm guessing it's probably hydrolocked now. The oil seems about the right level. May have got into the sump as well. So I'm going to have to take the glow plugs out and we'll see if we can get the water out of there. First of all, I'll give that a good water blast to get rid of any dust. Couple of washers on there we don't want to lose. Before I take that out all the way, I'll just blow around the thread. That gets rid of any loose paint and dust that was stuck in there. Oh yep, there is water on that one. Yep, that's water. Alright, so we've definitely got water in that cylinder. And I did hear that hiss a little bit as soon as I cracked this as well, so I think that one might have been pressurised. We'll see what that third one's like. Yeah, that one's wet as well. That's water. Okay, so that one and that one are wet, so we know there's been water in those ones. Not sure about that one, but we'll see if we can turn the engine over now. Yep, that's turning freely now. Nice. That's awesome. So that's what it was. It was hydraulic. Try that starter motor and see if we can flush that water out. There we go. Yeah, that's coming out now. That's turning over freely now. There's no horrible noises, so fingers crossed we haven't bent a conrod or something like that. That's just flushing the water out of there now. That's great. That's what I wanted. So I'll put a bit of oil down the cylinders now and just lube them up a bit, because yeah, that water's been sitting in there for who knows how long. So I've just put a bit of oil on each of the cylinders. We'll run that through again, get it all lubed up before we put the plugs back in. Well, that seems to have cleared the cylinders out quite nicely. But before I put the plugs back in, I'll just check the intake manifold, make sure there's no water sitting in there either. A little bit of crap in there. It doesn't look too bad actually. There's no water in there. Notice there's some rust holes in the air filter cap, but they're at the bottom, so hopefully shouldn't get a lot of water in there. It wouldn't be much anyway. Alright, doesn't appear to be any water in the intake manifold, just a little bit of oil in there. That's looking good. I think we've got all the water out of there now, so I'll put those plugs back in. Right, I'll just test these glow plugs while they're off, make sure they're all working. Yep, that one's working. Yep, that's working. Bit of smoke coming off them. Yeah, they're all working perfectly. See the smoke coming off them, that means they're all working. So they can go back in. Right, we'll get rid of that engine oil just in case some water got through to the sump. Doesn't seem to be any water in the oil. Maybe a little bit, but it's not bad. Looks like it's been leaking a little bit of oil from somewhere. Very good. Right, that's all the water cleaned out of the cylinders and got new oil in there, so we'll see if she's going to start. Oh, she's not locking up, that's a good sign. So that's turning over fine. It's flushed most of the oil out of the cylinders. So we'll give it a bit of glow now and see what it does. Well, there doesn't seem to be too much wrong with the engine, and the hydraulics work well. I can't hear any horrible noises, and there's no bubbles coming up through the radiator, so I don't think it's blown a head gasket or anything. I think we've got off pretty lightly, because it can do a lot of damage. It can bend conrods and valves and that sort of thing, but thankfully he only had a half-dead battery to try and start it, otherwise it could have been a bit worse. It just stopped dead straight away, so that was lucky. So it sounds like it's got a fairly good engine. There's a bit of smoke there, but it's nothing too bad. So we'll put that exhaust back on, and then we'll have a look at the gearbox and see what that sounds like. The owner was saying that it was making a horrible noise somewhere in the gearbox or the rear end, and that's why he parked it up. So we'll get it running and go through the gears, see what it's doing. The engine's running pretty sweet. There doesn't seem to be much wrong with that. Thankfully it doesn't seem to have done any damage to the engine. But you can see the importance of putting a tin over the exhaust. That could have done a lot of damage if it had turned over and busted a conrod or something. So yeah, it's quite lucky to just lock up and not break anything. But yeah, there is a lot of gearbox noise there. There's definitely a whine going on in that back end. Hopefully just a bearing or something, but I have a feeling probably some gears in there as well that are not meshing quite right because the bearing has worn out. Yeah, that whole shaft is moving there, so yeah, it looks like it needs a bit of work. That universal joint needs replacing. That's to the front wheel drive, but I think there's probably a few things going on in there. That output shaft seems to be moving in the bearing as well, so looks like that'll have to be replaced. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth fixing up. It's a good little machine. The hydraulics work really well. Brakes are good, but they do lock on a little bit. But that's probably just a matter of adjustment and lubrication. So we'll come back to that another day. I'll probably have to split the machine there and take that top off and just see what's causing the problem. I have a feeling it's probably a bearing or two and possibly gears. If it's been doing it for a while, then the gears are probably going to be worn out. Hopefully there's not too much damage in there because it could get expensive. At least we got the engine going and got the machine moving. But we'll leave it there for now. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.
How to blow a balloon up with the tractor. With the tractor.
Let's see how big it can get this time.
Yeah. Do not do it too big. Dad? Dad? It's gonna pop! Turn it off! Turn it off! Dad! Turn it off!
Away it goes.
It's flying!
It is.
I want to catch it.
Catch it, don't breathe that stuff in though.
Flying!